Come on. What the fuck, dude? I think we're live. I was having some technical difficulties, so I wasn't sure. All right. We're live. All right. Let's start this, shall we? What's going on, everybody? What's happening? What's shaking? What's doing? It is Monday, August the 4th, 2025, 7:12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. My name is Dave McRae, coming to you live from the Voice Man Studios in Toronto, Canada, and this is episode 349 of McRae Live. Halloween 1978, the TV cut. Have you seen it? Do you like it? What are your thoughts on it? I want to know. You can send in a super chat. You can send in a member chat if you're a member. If you're not a member, you should get in on it. By the way, reminder to our level number 2 members, this Saturday night is horror movie night. So we're going to be watching Friday the 13th Part 2 this Saturday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, exclusive to my level number 2 members. But tonight we're talking Halloween, the TV cut. Time! What did you think of it? Halloween, the TV cut. Some people think it should be like that, should just be it. There are some people that just watch it. When they watch Halloween, they just watch that cut. They don't watch the theatrical cut. They watch the cut with an extra 12 minutes, whatever it is. That's the cut they watch. Is that what you watch? If you're watching after the fact, jump into the comment section. Let me know your thoughts. If you're watching live, let me know in the chat room. What's going on, everybody? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for tuning in to episode 349 of McRae Live. Thank you for being here. It is the dog days of summer, and summer is half over. Summer is half over. And you know what's just around the corner. So Halloween 1978, the TV cut of Halloween. Now, I am somebody that, again, I think I still prefer the theatrical cut because it's got a nice pace to it. However, I recently watched not the TV cut in its entirety, but I recently watched the TV cut scenes, the scenes that were, shot. And contrary to, I don't want to say popular belief, but I will say contrary to some belief, I didn't realize this, but there are some people that think those are deleted scenes from Halloween 1978 that were just added in. Those were not deleted scenes. No, those were not shot until 1981 when they were actually shooting Halloween 2. So the original Halloween was going to air for the very first time, I believe, on NBC. And they also needed to censor the film as well, as far as I remember. I mean, I was only, 2 years old, but I mean, but as far as I remember, in terms of what I've read, because in those days, I mean, and it's true, in 1981, even the sex scene with Bob and Linda may seem a little tame and cheesy now, but in 1981, it was still, and you're seeing a little boobish. And so, and there's a little bit of language, not a lot, but a little bit of language in there. You know what I'm saying? And so, there was some censoring going on, some working around. And instead of trying to figure out how to, they said, hey, can you go and maybe shoot some extra? So they did. They did that. And so those scenes that you see, the scene with Dr. Loomis, is he at Smith's Grove? Yeah, I guess he is. and he's talking to the other two doctors, and there's that whole scene there. The scene where he, says, "You fooled them, haven't you, Michael? But not me." And then he comes back later, and there's a whole thing, and he sees Sister on the back of the door. There's that, and then of course there's the scene with Jamie Lee Curtis and Nancy Loomis and PJ Souls, where they're actually, well, not Nancy Loomis, but PJ Souls and Jamie Lee Curtis are actually in the in the Elm Street house. So that interior is actually the real Elm Street house on Genesee Avenue in West Hollywood. That is actually what that house looks like inside. Of course, the house that you see in the Elm Street movies is a soundstage, but that interior was actually that house. It was actually that house, which is really cool. So that scene, she's got her hair up in a towel because she had short hair, and they needed to figure out. So she just got out of the shower. Perfect, makes sense, right? Properly motivated, and so that whole scene was shot as well. So the TV cut, or the extended edition, of course, it is the TV cut because it was specifically made for no other reason than to help pad the runtime for the network premiere of Halloween in 1981. And had they not needed to do that, then those three scenes would literally not exist, because there would be because they're not deleted scenes, right? They were scenes literally shot after the fact, whether before they went to camera, on Halloween 2, or after, or simultaneously. They had a, second unit guy. I don't know. I'm sure it's out there somewhere, but that's what they did. So that's what they did. And I remember I think this is the early 2000s. When I first, was this the early 2000s? When was this? Let's say 2001. I think this says 2001, I think. So I had never seen those extra scenes, because after it aired on network television, it's not like it became an extended cut, like a director's cut. It's not a director's cut. The director's cut is the original Halloween, is the theatrical cut. There is no director. It is. I mean, it was an independent movie, right? There wasn't a lot of meddling and a lot of, there wasn't a lot of that. It was a little $320,000, but, and so the theatrical cut is John Carpenter's vision. And so after that aired on television, you never really saw that version again. I think there were bootlegged versions and all that kind of stuff, but it was very difficult to find that version anywhere. And anyway, I had heard about it. It was like Halloween lore. I'd seen like really crappy bootlegged screen grabs or something. But anyway, in the early 2000s, I think it was 2001, they released, maybe you guys have this, I don't know. They released this on VHS. Do you remember this? Do you remember that? Oh, yeah. And this was, it's known as the extended edition, featuring 12 minutes of extra footage shot for television. Now, some of you your first time seeing the TV cut might have been when they released the Blu-ray box set in like 2012 or 13. But prior to that, this was one of the only ways to see it. And this was an official release. I think this might have been the first time they officially released it, although don't quote me on that. But I think this is 2001, I think. That's the back there. That's what it is. That's the back. And we got that right there. Oh, wait a sec. There we go. Oh, wait, there we go. Halloween Extended Edition, widescreen. And so when I saw this, I think I got this at Walmart or something. When I saw it, I was like, oh my God, yes, I want to get this. I want to watch it. And I did. And it was my first time seeing sort of the, extended cut, the TV cut in its entirety. And I remember liking it. And I do like it. I do. Now, I have often... maybe scoffed is maybe a little strong of a word, but I have often sort of, not dismissed, not scoffed, but sort of been, a champion for the theatrical cut. Because although I do like the scenes in the movie, well, the one scene that really does feel like filler is the scene with Jamie Lee Curtis and PJ Soles and Nancy Loomis. That really does feel like filler. The other scenes, I think, actually I think the theatrical cut works fine without them, because I think everything you need to know, because Halloween is very minimalist and it's very sort of that, less is more. Everything you need to know about Michael Myers, or kind of to bring you up to speed, is in the car with Marion. Right? You know what I mean? And he's talking about he hasn't spoken a word in 15 years. And, take from the judge, Tarzan, that whole, like, you get a real, like, it's a very minimalist conversation, but you get everything you need to know. And then, of course, with him and Brackett in the house, you get everything you need to know. And so the conversation with Loomis and the doctors it's interesting. But what I really actually like about that scene with the doctors, is the pace of it. They take their time. There's there's a moment. Let me just, actually, I have it up over here. So I'm going to keep it on mute because I don't know if I'm going to get, dinged or whatever. But of course, the TV cut, we have this, and then we just cut to this, right? This is the, and the two doctors are, the doctor on the right is talking about how, he's just talking about Michael Myers and the age and whatnot. And by the time he's 21, he'll have to be transferred. And Dr. Loomis is fidgeting with his, his little hat. And he's obviously kind of like, all right, yeah, get on with it. And this scene lasts quite a while. Like it lasts, and there's conversations, and then Loomis is not impressed, and he's like, why can't he remain in my care, and all this kind of stuff. You've seen this. You know what I'm talking about. But there's a great moment here that I actually really love, and it's my kind of style, is there's this back and forth. The acting from the two doctors are, a little dated, a little cheesy. Loomis, of course, is great. Donald Pleasance is great because he's a thespian, for God's sakes. He's a hell of an actor. These two guys are okay. They're serviceable, but a little dated. But there's this, what I really like about this is, he's going off and saying this stuff. I'm telling you what, why can't I have him in my hospital? I'm telling you, nice. He's waiting for what? I don't know. There's that whole thing right here where he says, yeah, okay, blah, 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 blah. We know he's kind of, let me pause this. He's kind of saying what he already says later a little bit, and kind of what he says in the car, like not verbatim, but the discussion here, the movie works without this scene. It totally works without this scene, but it's interesting context. You know what I mean? It's just interesting to see this dynamic between Loomis and the doctors, because that's stuff of legend, right? We imagine that he's probably, I watched him for 15 years, sitting in a room, saying, I've seen the wall, impossible. And, you can imagine, oh my God, that must have been, and you're getting a little bit of that context here. Now, I stand to be corrected, but I believe at the very beginning of this, I think this is only like 6 months later, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. Okay. So Daz says the TV cut contradicts Loomis' epic speech about spending 8 years trying to reach Michael. At the Smiths Grove hearing, he has already given up on Michael, and he decided he's pure evil after 6 months. I don't see it as giving up. I see it as more that he spent enough time with him already to know that he is, like he says in this scene, he is very dangerous, and the most dangerous, like, he has spent enough time with him, but then he's like, all right, well, he continues the journey. I never got the sense that it contradicts it. I can see what you're saying. And I guess from maybe a certain point of view, perhaps, but I never felt that way. I just see this as it's been 6 months and that's enough time for him. Like, I never got the impression that it took Loomis 15 years or 8 years even to realize he was evil. I just felt that he tried and tried and tried for 8 years until he finally realized this is ridiculous. It's been 8 years. I'm just going to try and keep him locked up. Like, there's no point in trying to rehabilitate him. You know what I mean? And I don't get the sense that he's tried to rehabilitate him for 6 months and has given up here. I can see how you might think that. But I get it. I do get it, but I haven't quite made that leap myself yet. But I will say, if it has only been 6 months since he's been caught, the thing I was going to say was, if it's only been 6 months since he's been caught, I think they should have gotten a younger actor to play Michael in the scene we'll take a look at here in a second, because he looks a lot older than 6 years old. He looks a lot older than 6 months have passed, because unless that, like, I imagine that scene where he walks to the cell, not even a cell, to the room, and he says, "You fooled him, haven't you, Michael, but not me." I imagine that's not like 4 years later. I imagine that's like shortly after this meeting, like maybe even the same day or maybe even the same week. Like, that's how it feels to me. And he looks a lot older than 6 years old. He looks like he's 10, or 11. I mean, he looks a lot older. Unless I'm missing something, I don't know, but he looks a lot older. But what I like, to go back to what I was saying, I love this moment. I love all the dialogue and the back and forth. Oh yeah, that's all great. I mean, it's great. It's Loomis. We love it. But what I really like is, maybe it's already happened here. Oh, hang on a sec. I'm paused. Okay. Yeah. For what? He says, for what, right? He's been waiting. For what? And then he says, I don't know. Here it is. I don't know. But that dramatic pause. And then this right here, watch this. Nobody's saying anything. He's not saying anything. I haven't paused it. Look at these cuts. Boom. That tension lingers. Waiting. And then finally something is said. I love that. Draw that out. Let the moment breathe. Let the audience sit with it. It's not just the characters that are sitting with it. It's the audience that you're allowing to sit with. Waiting for what? I don't know. And then you let the audience sit with that as well. Not just the characters, the audience. And that's great. I love that nuance and that breathing room. It's my kind of style, man. It's my kind of style. There's no need to rush through these things. Like, everything today is so TikTok generation, just let it fucking breathe, man. Let it breathe. I love it. It's great stuff. Anyway, so, it's a good scene. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it itself. It's a good scene. Let's just move past this here. So he's like, oh, you fucking goddamn son of a bitch. Rest in peace, Donald Pleasance. So I imagine that so I don't know if this next scene here comes immediately after. Is this scene immediately after that scene? Or is it sometime later? Like, this is just a video with the clips cut together. So I don't know, is this scene right after that? I'm not sure. But I will say, I don't get the sense that what we're seeing here on screen is like 4 or 5 years later. I don't get that sense at all. But I really like this scene. I really like, although I do question why the door is unlocked and Loomis is able to just open the door. It does seem a little strange to me, but he's catatonic, so maybe they don't think he's going to do anything. That doesn't look like a child that is 6, that he's like, what, 7 years old now? Like, this is supposed to, I mean, he's literally dressed in the same clothes he was in the, with the other two doctors. And I love this one as well, where we're just that slow push in, cutting back and forth between Loomis and Michael. Nobody's saying anything to Michael. Hang on a sec. Let me go back. We got to see this again. This is my kind of style, man. This is my kind of shit. He comes into the room. He closes the door. Nobody's saying anything. He just stands there, slow pushing, another slow pushing, right? Cutting back and forth. Michael to Loomis. Michael to Loomis. It's nobody's saying anything. There is literally nothing being said here. It's great tension, great build. Anticipation is fantastic. And I believe we cut back to Michael again. Yep, again. I mean, we're literally not one, nobody's uttered a word here. And then finally, as we get a good look at this humongous 6-year-old child, you fooled him, haven't you, Michael? That's right. But not me. I love it. There it is, but not me. And then I don't think I would have cut back to him, actually. I think I would have just stayed on Loomis. But and then it continues. So I have a hard time believing that is that kid looks like he's 10 or 11 years old. I mean, let's be honest. And so I always had an issue with that. I always was like, I mean, if this is supposed to be 6 months later, now that could very well be the same kid at 10 years old. Like that I would believe. Like if you had said it's now been 6 years or 4 or 5 years, and we're being introduced to, even though it's not the same actor, it's not, Will Sandin, but I could totally believe it's the same kid, 100%, just 4 or 5 years later. I have a very difficult time believing this is 6 months later. And I don't believe that this scene is supposed to be 4 or 5 years. No, it's this. It happens. I believe this scene happens shortly thereafter. He leaves that lecture hall with the 2 doctors. He's in the same clothes, and he just walks down the hall, and for whatever reason, the door's open. I don't know why. Anyway, so obviously we cut to what we do know. And then, I wish I had you all alone. Now, this is supposed to be, I guess, 15 years later now. We're 15 years later, even though Loomis hasn't aged a day. I believe this nurse, if I'm not mistaken, this nurse here was at the 45th anniversary convention. Wild. I stand to be corrected, but I think they found her. Anyway, so he's walking down the hall. Looks like he's going to a different room this time, although maybe not. I don't know. But he's going to a room. Yeah, it is a different room. And they open it again, and it's just is what it is. And then all of this stuff. Oh, it's all, oh my God, what the hell is going on? He broke out, a damn son of a bitch. And they're concerned, and I don't know, blah, blah, blah. And do you know where he's going? I don't know. And then, of course, you see, sister. So you have a twin sister. Now, obviously, because this was shot for, and then he leaves the nurses there, and then it cuts seamlessly. Actually, it works very well and cuts very well with this scene here. So here's the thing. I actually don't. So this is the thing you have to, because you're always fighting against people's headcanons, right? I'm not talking about headcanon. I'm talking about what is the motivation here. What does this mean? This means Laurie Strode. That's what it means. It doesn't mean Judith. It means Laurie Strode. Because this is to set up Halloween 2. Remember, this was created and made to pad Halloween for network television, but to also set up the inevitability of the reveal in Halloween 2. They didn't just make this like before there was ever they went out and shot this at the same time they were shooting Halloween 2. So that sister means Laurie Strode. That's what that means. He's going back because it's foreshadowing. So when you watch this cut and then you watch Halloween 2, like, look, could you think it means Judith? Sure. But I think what would have been stronger, because some people say, well, but you had to follow through with the sister thing because it means Laurie Strode and it says sister there and a whole thing. And I think what would have been stronger if they had thought about this is just write the word Judith. Just the word Judith is carved. Now, that totally, because I am of the ilk that, although I do love Halloween 2, it's still my favorite sequel to the franchise. I love how it's like it's one movie with 2 separate parts. I do. I'm a big fan of Halloween 2. But I have said on this channel many times, as you know, I'm a huge proponent of the fact that I do believe that you didn't necessarily, I understand why John Carpenter wrote it that way, and it is what it is, and it's fine. But there's 2 things you could do to that movie, and everything else can remain the same, and you can still have Myers motiveless, for all intents and purposes, in that film. You change the dream sequence that she has with her foster mom. And I'm not your mother, Lori, and blah, blah, blah. You change that, and you change the dialogue at the end in the car with the marshal to something else, right? And then Lori doesn't end up being his sister at all. And if you were to change this to Judith, it actually makes a lot of sense. And it still tells, it still tells Loomis where he's going, right? It tells Loomis, because if you think about it, Judith is a stronger word to put on that door than sister, because he goes back to now this links up to the eventual reveal, and I get it, but if you wanted to preserve that, you just put Judith on the back of that door, because where does he go? He goes back to Haddonfield. That's going to tell Loomis, he's going back to Haddonfield. Because see, Loomis doesn't know that Lori is Michael's sister. So it's not like Loomis thinks this means Judith, when in reality, I think it means Lori. He's going back for the other sister. That's what that means, right? He's going back for the other sister, right? Loomis thinks this means Judith, which is why he goes back to Haddonfield, but I think it should just say Judith, because he picks up he rips out the tombstone. He's got the tombstone on the back of the bed. He still has an infatuation with that sister, and it still plays a huge role into it, right? Here lies beloved daughter Judith Myers. It's still a big thing. So you write Judith on the back of that door, and I think that would have been stronger, actually. And then you could have actually not made any sort of reveal with Lori and Michael at the end. And you could just say that, but why was he after her? I don't know, because she's the one that got away. Everybody else died, and she's the one that got away, and he had some sort of infatuation. Never confuse motive with motivation. Right? Never confuse motive with motivation. So when I have videos on my channel, when I say that Myers has no motive, that doesn't mean there isn't motivation, right? Motive is what I do. It's something that's premeditated, right? He's going after these three babes because they owe him money. You know what I mean? And so, there is no rhyme or reason why Michael is going after these women in the original Halloween. And there is an argument to be made that he wasn't even after Lori until she came over to the house, right? And so, anyways, I digress, and that's going off of the whole thing. But nonetheless, I don't think, like, these three scenes so far are not bad. Like, they're completely unnecessary, and you don't lose anything with them not there when you watch the theatrical cut, because you get everything you need to know from the theatrical cut anyway. But they're cool. They add a little bit of that extra layer, not even layer, context for, the hardcore sweaty nerd. And then of course we go to this one here, which of course that is inside the real Elm Street house on Genesee Avenue in West Hollywood. If you've been there, you know it. Of course, the guy who owns that house now is a complete noob and an idiot, and he's trying to put all this. What a noob! He doesn't understand that he could act. I mean, it's his right. But yeah. Hey, don't be a dick. Anyway. So, but yeah, this scene is just padding. This is padding. There's no reveal in this scene. There's nothing going on. Lori's just continuing her dance of being cautious, and I don't know what's happening. And I just saw this guy standing amongst the laundry sheets in Mr. Riddle's backyard. This gives PJ Soul some extra work to do. She got, a day's pay. Well, they all did, and that's great. And there's a little bit of extra something here. But this is filler. This adds nothing. I don't feel like I know more. It's just to pad that network runtime, right? That's what this is. And it goes on and on and on, and they talk and totally, and then the phone rings. Ooh, hey, we had phones like that. It's like a half rotary phone, but without the rotary. It's like a rotary phone, but without the dial. It's just the push buttons. We had that. But yeah, so, again, and it's Annie and, hey, they all got a day's pay, right? All right, that's cool. And there's just, what this does is just, and it could be important, depending how you look at it. It reaffirms their friendship. It helps to just, it's another scene with the three girls and just kind of, to see their dynamic, to see the different personalities and the dynamics between them and, a little more of the sarcasm here and, all that kind of stuff. And, it's kibitzing. It's girl talk. It's kibitzing. It's giggling. It's laughing. Nancy's not having any of it, whatever, God, she's so depressed. But that's what this is. It's not revealing anything new. It's padding. And it goes on and on. And then we even continue here where she goes back to the window to look out. And I believe she's singing, "I wish I had you all alone," or something like that. But it just goes on and 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 on. It just goes on. They had to linger. Tell me you're trying to pad that extra 30 seconds for NBC without telling me you're trying to pad that extra 30 seconds for NBC. So, sorry guys, microphone went off there. Okay. So again, I think that they definitely are interesting. I still prefer the theatrical cut. If there was a scene, I don't think any of them are needed. Again, because when you hear, I like them. Like, I like the scenes, and they add a little bit of that extra, but it's fat that you could, like, if this really was, and for those of you that might just be joining, these are not deleted scenes, just as a reminder. These are scenes that were shot while they went out to shoot Halloween 2. The reason why Jamie Lee Curtis has that towel on her head is because she had cut all her hair off. Because as you know, she wore a wig in Halloween 2, right? For better or worse. There's some shots where it doesn't look too bad, and other shots where it's like, oh my God. But yeah, so the conversation between the doctors, it's interesting. Like Daz said, maybe somebody might feel it's a little contradictory. I don't feel that way, but it might, depending on how you interpret it. But everything you need to know about Myers, because Myers, the character of Myers, is built on that mystique and ambiguity and all that. It's important to preserve that. And everything you need to know is said in the car with Marion. And everything you need to know about Myers and the dynamic between Loomis and Myers, that relationship, is in the scenes with Brackett, right? Whether it's the I met this 6-year-old child with this blank, pale, emotionless face and the blackest eyes, the devil's eyes. I spent 8 years trying to reach him, then I was 7 trying to keep him locked up. Because whether it's that scene or I watched him for 15 years sitting in the room staring at a wall, not seeing that. I mean, all of that is everything you need to know. Like, it literally tells you so much without telling you hardly anything. Do you know what I mean? And so, and then of course the sister thing, that sort of, that scene there, and these. I don't think you really don't need that either. And so I don't dislike them, but I don't think they're necessary. I understand why they did it, and it's a cool kind of thing. But I still think the original Halloween works best as the original theatrical cut, because these scenes are like, yeah, it's cool, but when I watch the theatrical cut, I don't feel like I'm missing them. Do you know what I mean? Like, oh no, it's so much better with it. No, especially the scene with Laurie and the girls and all that. It's cute, it's a nice scene, but it doesn't move the needle. It doesn't, like, there's no information that is relayed in that scene that moves us forward. it's just for NBC. I mean, they were all for just NBC. But that might have been the scene where it's like, okay, just walk around. Yep, look out the window. I wish I had you all alone. Just the two of us. 30 more seconds of this. Okay, and cut. Can we get a shot from over there? And just that'll be another 10 seconds. You know what I mean? It's just kind of like that kind of thing, right? But anyways, folks, listen. If you're watching after the fact, jump into the comment section. Let me know your thoughts on Halloween, the original Halloween from 1978, the director's cut, the TV cut, the extended cut. There is no director. The theatrical cut is the director's cut. And let me know your thoughts. When was the first time that you saw it? Is this the edition that you like, or the version that you always watch? Like, is this the version you all, maybe it is. Maybe it is. Maybe when you pop in the original Halloween, you're like, no, I'm going to watch this version. Maybe it is. For me, it's not. I will always watch the theatrical cut because that is the intended version. And so, but I'd love to know. I'd love to know your thoughts, and let me know your thoughts on each scene as well, you know, and what you think about each scene and how it all sort of, you know, what your thoughts are on the TV cut or the extended edition of John Carpenter's Halloween. This was the first time that I saw it right here when I picked this up about 25 years ago on VHS. I mean, it looks like I picked it up yesterday. You know, again, there's a few VHSs I have that are in pretty rough shape, but a lot of my VHSs are in great shape. So let me know your thoughts. I'd really like to know your thoughts on what it is. Now, a couple of super chats did come in. Let me see if I can get those. All right. Member chat comes in from Amadusius. Thanks, buddy. Says, when I was a kid, I saw the TV version, but no one believed me that those TV scenes existed. So I began to think I imagined it. I was so happy when they released the TV version and was proven right. Yeah. Oh yeah. Cause it's not like that. It's again, it was specifically for network television. So it wasn't a version that, like, it wasn't a director's cut, right? So it's not like it was also available when it hit VHS. And no, you couldn't get or see that version for like 25 years after that fucking thing aired. It was stuff of legend. It was like, what? It was kind of like the producer's cut of Halloween 6. Not quite, but you know what I mean, right? So yeah, no, I understand. Fast Forwards 29 sends in $4.99. Thanks, buddy. Says, what's up, Dave? I can take it or leave it, but I do like the TV cut for what it is. Kind of like seeing what Loomis has been saying in action. Yeah, it's interesting. But is it officially canon? It's not. I mean, it is because it is in the sense of that there's a version that you can watch, but in my mind, because it's not a director's cut, and it's not something that Carpenter, you know, shot and added in there as a means of this is my full vision, right? It was purely 100% for nothing more than to pad the runtime. That's literally 100% all it was. It wasn't to expand the vision, make things feel, I mean, yes, in doing so, they made sure that they wrote scenes that could connect canonically and connect to Halloween 2 that they were about to release, right? I'm not saying that they willy-nillied it and it doesn't make any sense. Obviously, it makes sense, but it wasn't like the full vision or the full version. Do you know what I mean? And so, you know, is it canon? Really? Or could it be like an Elseworlds thing? Because in my mind, I mean, those scenes exist, but I'll be honest with you, when I watch the theatrical cut of Halloween, I never think of them. When I watch the original Halloween, I never think of them. Now that could also be because I haven't watched the original or the TV cut of Halloween very often. So if it was my go-to, if it was the thing that I watched all the time, then I suddenly watched the theatrical cut, then I would probably think of it because it would be in my mind. But for me, you know, it's like the book, right? It's like the novel. Like people like to, you know, refute things and refer to the novel. And I'm like, listen, Michael Myers had like blue eyeshadow and pink lipstick in the novel. So if we're going to like source the novel here, you know, the novel was created after the fact. There's some things in the novel that I like, but overall, I don't consider the novel canon at all. No disrespect to the author, no disrespect to the ideas. I get it, but they expanded on so much. They demystified so much because, the original Halloween is not something that lends itself to a novel very well because it's very simplistic. There's no motivation. And so it would be like a 10-page novel, really, at the end of the day. You know what I mean? So you have to create the backstory and, the Celtic rituals and Samhain and all this kind of stuff. You got to go in. But then there was the sexual component to Michael and the mask with the blue eyeshadow and the pink lipstick and the whole, you can't, if we're going to source the novel, then we got to source the novel. You can't cherry pick. That's not how it works, folks. That's not how it works. It's either is or it isn't. And so I always look at the novel as just that, that's just something that's kind of, that's out there, but it's not like the novel came first, right? Had the novel came first, had Halloween been based on a book, well, that's different. That's different. But anytime the novel version of a movie comes out after the fact and tries to, expand on what was not in the movie, I always tread with trepidation. I always tread very lightly. Some novelizations of movies that come after the fact are pretty good. Some are not bad, and some do justice and expand on it. And then there's Halloween. And I'm not saying it's a catastrophic failure. I'm just saying that there's things in the Halloween novel that, if we're going to say it's canon, we also have to wonder why. So I don't know. For me, Halloween is the theatrical cut. It's as soon as we pull back on that cinematic tableau and, Michael, that thing, right? We're pulling back and we see little Michael Myers there with the big butcher knife and he's 6 years old. We cut to black. It doesn't go to Smith Grove with the doctor and the doctor. It goes to 15 years later. And I don't feel like I'm missing anything in doing that. Because I love how that mystery and that, the enigma of Myers and Loomis relationship is also preserved. But it's a the extended cut, the TV cut, is a little peek behind the curtain, right? It's a little peek behind the curtain, but yeah. Fast Forwards 29 says, what do you think Michael's obsession with his sister was and is, and how do you think his parents were killed as he didn't do it? I don't know. Maybe a car accident, plane crash. I don't know. What do I think? I don't think it's knowable. And that's not a cop-out answer. I know it might seem like a cop-out answer, but it's really not. I don't think it is knowable. And because to me, that's why it works. Knowing on it and speculating about it, and going, what was his obsession with his sister? He was incestual. He found her hot and he wanted to bang her. It's like, he's 6. I don't know. He was possessed by Samhain and the Celtic rituals. And it's like, the Cult of Thorn. Silver Shamrock. Sound like Peter Griffin. Hey, Peter. But no, I don't think it's knowable. I think, again, why the character of Michael works so well and is because of the ambiguity and the mystique around who he is, what he is, how is it possible? It's unknowable. And that's not a cop-out. It's part of the lore of the character and why the character works. It's what the character has over almost everybody else, over over Freddy Krueger, over Jason, Chucky, Pinhead, Leatherface, Ghostface. I mean, we know the backstories of all of them. And in the case of Scream, it's a different Ghostface every movie. So you find out the motive at the end of every movie, but we know why Freddy's doing what he's doing. We know why Jason's doing what he's doing. We know why Chucky's doing what he's doing. We know why, Leatherface was doing it's Michael, you don't. And it's one of the main reasons why it may have endured, although it is also the reason why I say, to preserve the integrity of that, he has a shelf life, and you can get one movie, you can get a few movies out of it, right? 2 or 3. But once you start hitting 4 and 5 and 6, there's a reason why the franchise hit the shitter, is because they had to figure out reason. Now you have to explain things. And sometimes things are just best left unknown. And so I don't know. And I never really think about it. And that's not like, I don't think about it because I understand the intent of the movie is not, the original film, the story of Michael Myers, the original story is not asking me to think about it. It's not asking me to search for it. It's asking me to just revel in the mystique and the mystery of it. I think it would be different if it was a detective story and Loomis was trying to get to the that's why I don't want to see the Loomis years, as a series. I don't want to see those 8 years trying to reach him. I don't want to see that. Because if you give a Loomis series of 8, and we see, it's going to demystify it. I'm not saying it can't be done well. And of course I would be first in line to watch it. But it's not needed. It's not, just do something else. Move on. Let it rest. It needs to die. But I don't want to see a Loomis series because of that. And I don't want to see a Loomis series before Michael because, although the scene with the 3 doctors in the TV cut is, in my mind, not officially canon, he even says in that scene, which I think is, he says it in the scene, and although it's not officially canon, I think it is truth, that truth of what Loomis says in that scene with the 3 doctors, there are 3, but with the other 2 doctors, is a fundamental truth to his character, not only in the original Halloween, but in the rest of the franchise. And I'm paraphrasing, but he says, Michael, oops, we still, yes, okay, sorry, I hit a button there and I thought I had stopped the stream for a moment. He says, again, I'm paraphrasing, but he says, Michael Myers is the most maybe I am saying this correctly. Michael Myers is the most dangerous patient I have ever seen, or something like that. Now I know it's the TV cut, but that truth is clearly, even if you take the TV cut away, that fundamental truth is clearly illustrated in the Loomis character, in his behavior and his poetic language and how obsessed he is without having to say it. That's another reason why I don't think you need that scene, because you don't need to say that. It's already said. More often than not, what isn't said is far more powerful than what is said, right? And so you don't need that. And because it's clear. It's all, and I've been saying this for years, that I don't believe, so many people said, yeah, but maybe we could go back and see his years before Myers. But in order to make, in my opinion, in order to make the television series, interesting, and you're going to have to make all these other kids wild, creepy, crazy, and you could, but in order to make, you're going to have to make some wild, fucked up kids. And I don't believe that. I believe that Loomis has met some, some fucked up kids, sure. But nothing that would be, 10 episode, 60-minute, series worth. He was just he was a normal child psychiatrist who had met some pretty fucked up kids, sure. But then along comes Myers. And he's obsessed. I'm telling you, Michael Myers is here in this town. He's obsessed. That was Halloween 4, but he's obsessed, right? And so, yeah, the demystification of the whole thing, I'm just not a fan of. I'm not a fan of. And I know that's, party pooper Dave, but it's how I feel. Amadusius $5 says, Dave, if you had to conceive of a scene to add to the theatrical cut, what would you add? I don't think I would add anything, to be honest with you, but if I had to add something, maybe it would be something with Loomis. Maybe he's, because Loomis spends most of his time standing on the side of the road, right? And, we get the, Lonnie, hey, Lonnie, get your ass away from there. We get that, right? But maybe like another scene with him like that. Maybe has a scene with a neighbor that comes out asking, hey, what the hell? He just sees this like adult guy standing by his trash cans or something. He comes out, he's like, hey, what are you doing? He's like, I'm looking for, have you seen somebody? Maybe there's like an interaction there. So there's just a little bit more for Loomis, as, we cut back and forth. But I've never watched the movie. I'll be honest with you. I've never really thought it needed something else. It didn't. Just purely because of the simplicity of the story. This was not a story that was just thrown together. Each creative choice was deliberate. It was deliberately created to be the simplistic story it was. Do not believe for 1 minute that the reason the original Halloween doesn't have a lot of blood or, maybe is not, action-packed, or as maybe its early, 70s, counterpart. It's not because of budget. It is intentional. Erwin Yablans wanted to create, at that time, he wanted to create an old school Hitchcockian kind of horror movie. And that's what they set out to do. So the lack of blood is not because of budget. It's an intentional creative choice. It is the theater of the mind. Erwin's in interviews for decades saying this. And he was the one that spearheaded. If it wasn't for Erwin Yablans, there would be no Halloween. There would be no Halloween. It was his idea. He came up with the idea to do a low-budget horror movie. He came up with the idea to call it Halloween. He came up with the idea to set it on Halloween. He came up with the idea for the poster. We owe a great deal of debt to Erwin Yablans. And I know people look at Mustafa Akkad as the godfather of Halloween, but, if you want to say for better or worse, the long-running franchise, sure. But if it wasn't for Erwin Yablans, there would be no Halloween, at least not in the way that we know it today. And it was Erwin's idea to hire John Carpenter, or to at least, to speak with him. And so, it was intentional. It's like my film, It's Me, Billy, right? When Justine gets killed, right? We don't show any blood or gore. It's just from behind, and you see Billy's arm going up and coming down and his shadow on the wall. And I remember a few people who reviewed it said, I guess for budgetary reasons, they couldn't really. No. No, it had nothing to do with budget. It was all creative intention. It was the style of horror movie. If we wanted to show Justine's chest being ripped open with blood, we could have done it. We'd have to allocate funds to creating that effect, and we would have done it. But it was the style of filmmaking. It's a style. It's the type of horror, right? And so and it's similar with Halloween. So that low budget, that's what it was. And so whenever I watch the movie, I never really feel like it's missing something. I never really feel like, I'll add this or all that, because anything I add, I think might risk the simple. Like, that's why the scene I just mentioned is very simple. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's because I don't want to ruin the rhythm of the simplicity and the organic sort of. I don't want to ruin the vibe of the movie by adding something that is unnecessary. That is, you know what I mean? Like another kill, or I mean, you could add another kill like the Gravekeeper, but it's like, but why? I mean, do we need it? We don't really need it, And so, yeah, it's not a cop-out answer. It's just truthfully how I feel. That I think what you have right here is Halloween. The original Halloween is. Yes, of course it's dated. Of course, the acting's sort of cheesy. In some of the dynamic. Yeah, it's 1978. It's a low budget horror movie. But it is one of the quintessential examples of that kind of horror, that Hitchcockian kind of horror, and so, but anyway, I digress. But, and then fast forwards 29. Thanks, buddy. Says, it's funny, as a kid, they never played Halloween on TV, just the others. And Halloween 2 was the first one I ever saw, and remember my mom helping me tape it on VHS so I could watch it over and over. Yeah, no, they never did. You're right. It was usually Halloween 2, not the original. It's true. Josh McKenna, Bud Dave says, without spoilers, will there be a character in Port Robinson Road who racks the cough? There will be no racking the cough in Port Robinson Road. Josh follows up, says, the TV version of Halloween 2 was weird. Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm going to be talking about that here on the channel as well at some point. Oh, yeah, it's very, very, very weird. And then fast forwards 29 says, agreed, Dave. I feel the same way. Great show, bud. Thanks, buddy. I really appreciate that. Yeah, again, folks, if you're watching after the fact, jump into the comment section. Let me know your thoughts on the TV cut, the extended cut of the original Halloween from 1978. Let me know your thoughts. I'd love to know. All right. Now, we are, folks, in regards to the Port Robinson Road campaign, this is where we are. We are sitting at 39%. And we are at, oh, hang on a sec there. Let me go over here. 1 second. Oh, hang on. We are sitting at 39%. Why does it do that? I hate when things do that. Maybe I got to move this over here a little bit. Maybe it won't do it. We're sitting at, whatever. It's not a big deal. Oh, not a big deal. Yeah, there we go. That's better. All right, we're sitting at 39%, 7,800 Canadian, 95 backers, 40 days left. Now, folks, if 4 people tonight, just 4 people, pick up the Bloodbath double feature, that will hit 8,000 Canadian and rock into 40%. My goal was to hit 40% by the end of the weekend. It's Monday. My goal tomorrow is 3 weeks into the campaign. 3 weeks into the campaign, I would love to hit at least 40%. Maybe we could even start the trend. Maybe we could hit 41% or 42% tonight, because I want to get to 50% by this time next week. There's only 40 days left. I know it might seem like I'm, always on this, but I've got to be on this. If I'm not on this, then nobody's going to be on this. But if you are interested in watching Halloween, Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 and Halloween Kills with me on Halloween night, Friday, October 31st, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's limited to 100 people. 33 people have already picked it up. This is going to be wild, man. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to be eating candy, watching Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 and Halloween Kills. It's happening Halloween night, Friday, October 31st, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Even if you can't make it, it's okay. You can, and you want to help support the campaign, pick up the perk. It's only about $36 US. You can pick it up and you will have the link to when you can watch it. So maybe you're taking your kids trick-or-treating. You got a Halloween party, whatever the case is, you can watch it after the fact. So you will still be able to watch it. And it's going to be a lot of fun. If 4 people, just 4 people pick up that perk tonight, we will hit 40% and 8,000 Canadian. And I would love to be able to do that. Now, there's other perks on the campaign as well. I mean, you can get whatever the hell you want on the campaign. But yeah, the social media thank you, the concept posters. Again, keep in mind, you're seeing Canadian dollars. For you in the US, that's a lot cheaper. It's a lot cheaper, and even cheaper for you in the UK. T-shirts, of course, is on there. Signed concept posters as well. There's the Bloodbath double feature, 50 Canadian, about 36 US, about 25 or 26 pounds in the UK. So it's even cheaper when you go overseas. But I've got 33 people that have picked it up. If we can get to 37 people, then we will have hit 40%. And that's exactly where I wanted to be 2 weeks in, and it's 2 weeks tomorrow. So, folks, the link to the campaign is pinned to the top of the chat room. I will also put it in the chat now as well. There is the link. Every little bit helps, folks. This is for the development funds for an original feature-length horror film, my feature-length directorial debut. This is not for the production budget, so this doesn't go towards actually making the film. This goes towards the development of it. All the things we need to do to get our pitch package in tip-top shape. And the base goal is $20,000. That's the base goal. The base goal is 20,000 Canadian. It's only about 14,500 US. I mean, when you look at our campaigns from the past, right? 60,000, 120,000. This is, should be a goal we should be able to reach. And then of course we have, 2 stretch goals as well. But I would love to be able to get to that tonight. So folks, anything you can do would be greatly appreciated. It means the world to me. It really does. Again, this is a feature-length original. This isn't a fan film, folks. This is an original feature-length psychological horror film, and that is probably going to cost anywhere between $3 and $5 million. So this is something that I am very passionate about. I've been working on this for more than half my life, for 25 years. It is inspired by true events from my second year of college 25 years ago. And if we can get to 50%, if we got to 50% tonight, that would be amazing. But if we can get to 50% before August 15th, or even tonight, I don't want to bite off more. I don't want to get crazy. But if we can get to 50%, then the special edition concept poster will become available on the campaign. And that is that poster right there. That is that poster right there. That will become available on the campaign once we hit 50%. And that concept, there's 3 concept posters, right? There's the first one that I released a few months ago, which is, you'll see, well, it's that one right there on the left there. You can see it, but let me see here. You can see it a bit better on the perks. It's that one right there. Right? You've seen that one. I've shared it on social media. That is a representation of the grief and the mystery of the past. The grief and mystery of the past. So there's a lot of mystery, and unknown and mystique that surrounds that concept poster. This concept right here, which people are loving, that is the willingness to step inside, to step into the unknown, into the danger, into, what lies inside this house, right? The danger inside. And then, of course, this concept right here is the representation of the journey beyond the psychological and the mystical and the philosophical nature of the house on Port Robinson Road. And that's what this poster sort of represents. So each poster tells a different story and a different layer to the house on Port Robinson Road. And this concept poster will become available on the campaign when we hit 50% of our total. And if you donate to the campaign tonight, of course, I will also give you a shout out here on the show as well. So again, anything is greatly appreciated, folks. I would love to be able to get to 40% tonight. Again, are there 4 people? There's 140 of you watching right now. Are there 4 of you, 4 people that want to help support this development funds campaign for the house on Port Robinson Road, an original psychological horror film? I just need 4 people to pick up the Bloodbath double feature perk. Now, again, you can pick up whatever you want on the campaign. I'm just saying that if 4 people picked up the Bloodbath double, and there's 141 of you watching. I just need 4 of you to pick it up, and that will jump from 7,800 to 8,000 and from 39% to 40%. And we will have reached our goal. Is there anybody out there that is willing to do it? John Clancy says, Dave, I love your original content where you talk about old films, but I really don't like when you talk about making actual movies that you make yourself. Don't ask me why. Well, Jonathan, that's okay. You're entitled to feel that way. You're entitled to, not want to tune in or not want to donate or partake. If you're not interested in it, that's okay. Nobody's forcing you to watch. You can tune out and whatever the case is. It's probably because you don't care. Jonathan. You don't care. You have absolutely no interest in caring about me talking about the films that I want to make. But I think it's important for people to understand and remember that, and it's sort of a double-edged sword, right? So most of you know me as Dave McRae, the YouTuber. That's how you know me. And so you're most comfortable with me as a YouTuber, right? Oh, Dave McRae. Yeah, when I think of Dave McRae, I think of the YouTuber, the Halloween guy, right? Let me just make myself bigger here. There we go. The Halloween guy, right? Dave McRae, the YouTuber, he talks Halloween and he's crazy and he's doing all his antics and all that kind of stuff. And for most of you, that is how you know me, right? And that's how, for some of you, that's probably how you want me to remain, right? I don't want to step out. Dave's talking about making movies now. I'm not interested in that. And you say, I don't know why. I'm not interested. Well, I'll give you some insight into maybe why. And it's because of this very thing, right? It's stepping out of the usual framework that you're usually familiar with me being here online, right? But what is important for people to remember is that that YouTube's not my job, right? And so like many of you who have jobs, I have a job. And I have actually worked in the entertainment business for, it'll be 24 years this year, actually. 24 years this year. And I went to film school years ago. I went to film school and I studied film, how to make movies, how to write movies and all that kind of stuff. And movies movies is not just a love of mine from a fandom perspective. It's a love of mine from actually being in the business and wanting to make films. But my career in the entertainment industry, I began as an on-camera actor, and then I fell into voiceover. I shouldn't say I fell into it. I mean, it was a conscious choice. But I became a professional voice actor. And I've done movie trailers and animation and narration and commercials for Coke and Walmart and Pepsi and I mean, you name it, I've done it. You name it, I've done it. And so I've worked in the entertainment business for a long time. And then when I came onto the scene here to talk about Halloween in 2017, it was because I'm a movie fan as well. And I needed an outlet to talk about Halloween and all that kind of stuff. But that's how most of you know me, is Dave McRae, the YouTuber. And to no fault of your own, don't realize that I'm also somebody that works in the entertainment business, and I have an invested interest of, continuing to work in the business. And then about 5 or 6 years ago, I decided, when I turned 40 years old, 6 years ago, I decided to actually make a real go of it. And on the filmmaking side, right? I thought, I'm 40 years old, 6 years ago. And I thought, I should really make a go at making these, of making movies, but I didn't want to bite off more than I could chew. So we did the Billy fan films. Well, yeah, they're fan films, but we took them very seriously, which is why they have the production values they do, which is why they look and sound the ways they do. They're fan films, sure, but they're professionally produced, low budget independent shorts, right? And there's a reason for that, is because this wasn't just fun for me. This was serious work. I want to make movies that you can watch on Prime or Netflix or in the theater, because I've always wanted to do that. This isn't just something I decided to do when I was 40. This is something I decided to do when I went to film school over 25 years ago. And so I think for some people, when I'm on here and I'm crowdfunding for the Billy films or for the house on Port Robinson Road, you tune out because you're like, no, I'm only here for Dave McRae, the YouTuber. And you don't realize, some people don't realize it. No, he actually works in the business, and he actually wants to pursue a filmmaking career. He's successful at voiceover and he works at the highest levels of VO, but yeah, now he wants to make movies. You know what I mean? And I take it very seriously, in case you haven't noticed, right? And so I think that's probably why for you and for some people, some people see you as a certain way and they want to keep you in that box, because when you step out of that box, it feels like you're being disingenuous, or it feels like you're not honoring your part of the agreement, right? But in reality, I'm just being who I've always been. There's more to me than Dave McRae talking about the TV cut of Halloween, right? And so, But I get it. It's not for everybody. It's not for everybody. But I'm not going to stop because this is my channel and these are the things that I'm passionate about. And I want to make movies that you guys can see on Prime or Netflix or in the theater or wherever. I believe I'm talented enough to do that, right? And I'm working hard to make that a reality. And you guys are stepping up to help make it a reality. And it's really cool. And so that's what this is about, right? And to be fair, when it comes to the house on Port Robinson Road, I also think that we have to remember that unlike the Billy films, there's nothing tangible here yet. This is new IP. I mean, it's not even IP yet, but it's about to be. This is new, right? And this is a development funds campaign. So there isn't even a movie at the end of this, right? There's no Blu-rays, there's no producer perks. And so it's a much harder sell. And people are like, I don't know, what is this? What's development? And so because there's nothing tangible, you don't really see what this is really all about. I'm trying my hardest, right? I'm creating captivating visuals and, interesting little promos and things like that to kind of foreshadow kind of the of what this could be. But there's nothing tangible, so it's a harder sell, right? It's a much harder sell. And I get that. But I take this very seriously. This is not a game for me. This is not a game. This is a serious endeavor. This is a serious film, a serious project, just as serious as the Billy films were, but this is an original feature-length psychological horror film written and directed by me, inspired by true events. That's what this is. This is not, this is just me. Oh, Dave's just having fun. No. I take this very seriously. And the proof is in the pudding because you look at the two Billy films that we released, we clearly take this shit very seriously. Everything from the crowdfunding to the casting to the marketing to the release of the movie. You look at how we handled everything, right? And so I take this shit very seriously. And so, but I can understand that if you're used to me being Dave McRae, the YouTuber, it feels a little weird because you just think that I'm Dave McRae, the YouTuber. But in reality, no, I actually do work in the industry. And I'm very serious about this. And so again, all this needs is just 4 people, folks. 4 people to pick up you can pick up whatever you want. You can donate and you can donate as well. That's the great thing, right? On your phone. Let me show you because most people are on their phones, I assume right now. But if you're on your phone and you scroll, so it's going to be a bit blurry, but if you're on your phone, okay, like this, right? So you're on your phone, right? And there's the perks. If you were to, if you were to scroll to the very end of the perks, because maybe you're like, oh, Dave, I really want to support you, but I don't want a fucking t-shirt. I don't want a poster. That's fine. That's totally fine. You can scroll to the very end and that little thing right there, you see that there? That's just to make a donation. Just make a donation. It says, make a contribution. Contributions are not associated with perks. And you can just donate $30, $10, $40, $100, whatever you want to do. You can just donate. And then you don't have to worry about handing over your address and, having this perk in the mail that you don't really want. So you can do that too, right? But yeah, so anyways, I believe that tonight we can at least get to 40%, right? 40% tonight. I believe we could do it. Hopefully we can do it, folks. We can at least get to 40%. I'd love to be able to get to 40%. Hey! Whoa, we did it! That calls for celebration! Yes! You some bitches! I don't know what it was. I don't know if you, hang on a second here. I don't know if you, geez, that's very loud. Hang on a sec. Let me turn that down. All right, there we go. I don't know if that was the bloodbath perk or a couple of donations. I don't know, but amazing. We reached 40% at the 3-week mark. Folks, it's 3 weeks tomorrow. I wanted to be at 40%. This is great. This is so great. You guys are awesome. Amazing. Let's keep it going. I'm going to stay on here for a little bit longer. Maybe we could get to 41 or 42%, just kind of get ahead, keep it going, you know what I mean? And like I said, the moment we hit 50%, my goal is to hit 50% by this time next week. And then but if we hit it earlier, like hypothetically, if we hit 50% tonight, right? Hypothetically, then I would release this poster on the campaign tonight, and you could pick it up. And there would be an option that is signed and an option that is not signed, like the other three or the other two. But that is awesome. Thank you. You guys are amazing. Let me just check this out here. Let me check who that was and just give, maybe it was donations, maybe picked up the bloodbath perk. I don't know, but you guys are amazing. Okay, so we've got we've got Amy Wade picked up a bloodbath double feature. Thank you, Amy Wade. Tim, what's going on? Tim, my man, Tim picked up the signed poster number 2. Amazing. And Tabitha Short picked up 2 t-shirts. Thank you, Tabitha. I really appreciate that. Thank you. Tabitha, of course, one of our great supporters, one of our great moderators here on the channel as well. So big shout out to Tabitha. Big shout out to Tim, which is Flick Symmetry. Big shout out to Amy Wade. Thank you, Amy. Awesome. And Tim also picked up, you also picked up a shirt as well from earlier as well. Amazing. Awesome. Thank you guys so much. It feels great to be at that 40% mark, 40%, 3 weeks in. It's good stuff. So, again, folks, the link is in the top of the chat. Every little bit helps. There's some cool perks on there. And again, like I said, if you don't want to pick up any perks, you can donate. And so now let me just, for those of you again that might be a little, what is this all for? Like what is a development funds campaign? Okay, well let me just because it's important, because not everybody reads the actual campaign. Some people might, some people may not. They may just look at the perks and donate, and that's fine. But in terms of the actual campaign itself, let me move this over here. Let me scroll down and let's just take a look at this together. Okay. Cause it can, okay. So it just says, welcome to the Development Funds campaign for the House on Port Robinson Road, an original feature-length horror film inspired by true events from my second year of college in November 2000. This is a psychological, elevated horror drama that leans into mood, atmosphere, and suspense. Would you expect nothing less from me? And philosophical depth. It explores themes of grief, identity, friendship, and the unseen forces that continue to haunt us long after the lights go out. Help make this long life dream of mine a reality. Below is the official concept poster. That's, of course, the first one I released. There it is there. That's the mystery and the mystique and the unknown sort of layer to the house on Port Robinson Road. Oh, yes. And it's not just fun looking shit. It has meaning behind it. Here's the synopsis. Has anybody read the synopsis? Does anybody know? In a small, peaceful town in November 2000, a group of local college friends explore an abandoned 19th century farmhouse after hearing rumors of paranormal activity. During their first visit on a gloomy, windy autumn day, the house appears to be nothing more than a dilapidated structure cloaked in unsettling silence. But when they return under the cover of night during a violent thunderstorm, a terrifying event unfolds, one that leaves them shaken, bewildered, and desperate for answers. On their next visit, the mystery deepens and the disturbing events escalate. With each revelation, the enigma grows, sparking philosophical debates among the friends. What begins as a search for answers soon becomes a transformative quest, one that pulls them beyond the boundaries of reality and into another dimension of consciousness. Now, they must uncover what really happened inside the house on Port Robinson Road before the truth is lost forever. And that's a photograph of the real house. That's the real house. I took that photo in November 2000. Why do I need your support? Why do we need the support? We've set the campaign goal at 20,000 Canadian. I believe this is a feasible goal to hit, which will allow us to move the campaign to in demand and continue working towards our stretch goals. There are 2 stretch goals. Each tier on the chart isn't just about raising more money. It's about unlocking deeper a deeper level of creative and professional development for the house on Port Robinson Road. At $20,000, approximately $15,000 US, that's our base goal, we're covering the essentials: concept art, travel, legal consultations, and refining our lookbook and pitch deck. This gets the project ready for serious conversations. At $30,000, that's approximately $22,000 US, we move from visual development into practical planning. We bring in key production roles like a line producer and department heads to break down the script, budget, and schedule. This stage helps validate the film's scope, timeline, and feasibility. Because folks, when you are having serious conversations with a studio or a production company or an investor or a producer, you need to know how much this movie is going to cost. I did a preliminary breakdown about 3 or 4 months ago, not with actuals, just with sort of ballpark numbers, and it came to about $2.5–3 million. But I need a line producer to go through the script with me, break everything down, and figure out, is it going to be a little bit more? Maybe it'll be a little bit less. And you need to know when you have a producer or an executive sitting across the table and saying, I love this, this is great, this is interesting, we're very interested, how much is this going to cost? You need to know. You can't say, I don't know. You can't do that. You have to be firing on all cylinders. And so that's part of the development, right? Now, the $60,000 goal, I don't know if we're going to reach that, but who knows? You never know. If we can get the campaign to $20,000, then the $60,000 becomes possible because now we're in demand. And even when the campaign is over, we can continue to raise funds, right? Anyways, I digress. The $60,000 stretch goal, approximately $44,000 US, gives us even more flexibility. We're now in a position to create a professionally produced concept trailer or tone piece, a visual tone that captures the film atmosphere and emotional core. It's the kind of asset that can open doors to casting conversations, financing opportunities, and distribution discussions. Now, with this, I say that or maybe at the 30K, but another thing that I would like to do, that I'm interested in doing, is bringing on a name talent into the picture. Now, I can't tell you who that would be or what role that would be, but there is a role. There is a role in the house on Port Robinson Road that if I was to have a name attached, and I don't mean like an A-list star. I mean, Jesus Christ, I couldn't afford that. But I mean, somebody say, oh yeah, like a name, like, oh yes, oh of course. That would be immediately knowable to anybody who, would be looking at it, to bring a name talent on into the role of this character. And that's something that having certain amount of money for development can also help, right? And so, again, that's the stage of where this is, and it's incredibly important. I know it's not sexy, and it's not flashy, and it doesn't seem as exciting as the Billy campaigns, and it's not. I mean, the Billy campaigns was for production budget. We had a cast, we had a crew, we had, Blu-rays and producer perks, and you were getting a movie at the end of it. But this is before that, because this isn't a fan film. This is the very early stages. This is true Inception. This is true Inception here. But it is just as important. It is just as important to have the development funding that we need so that, it sets us up for the best probability of success. And then, of course, that just talks about me. And then proven trust, right? I think this is important as well. When you are asking when you're asking people to donate to your campaign, there may be some people that are new to the channel that don't know what I'm doing, and they're thinking, he's going to pocket all that money and fly off to Japan for 6 years or something, something ridiculous like that. But it says right here, proven trust. Whenever you're asking people to contribute, trust matters. Over the last 8 years, I've worked hard to build a reputation for honesty, clear communication, and transparency with the horror community. Through my YouTube platform and as part of a 2-person creative team, that other guy being Bruce, of course, as you guys know, I led 2 successful crowdfunding campaigns that raised over 220,000 Canadian, $160,000 US to produce the independent horror shorts It's Me Billy chapters 1 and 2. These projects were recognized not just for their professional production value and storytelling, but also for their deep respect for the source material and its fans. It's Me, Billy Chapter 1 was nominated for Best Cinematography in the Dramatic Short category at the 65th Annual CSC Awards. That's the Canadian Society of Cinematographers, the highest award show in cinematography in Canada. It's the Canadian equivalent to the ASC in the US. In 2022, a testament to the high level of quality we brought to the fan film genre through a professionally produced independent production. We delivered on our promises from campaign to completion. Now, I'm taking the next step, my first feature-length horror film. Original feature-length horror film. Your support doesn't just fund another idea. You're helping to make a dream come true. And of course, I have the Billy stuff there as well. And I'll just read this last one here because I think this is important. The impact. The House on Port Robinson Road brings together two familiar elements of horror, college-age characters and a mysterious abandoned farmhouse, but grounds them in something deeper and more reflective. These are not stock characters. They're real young people navigating a profound experience. This isn't a film built on jump scares. It's atmospheric, thoughtful, and personal. And yes, it is scary, of course. Don't get me wrong, folks. It is. With my mood and atmosphere and all that kind of stuff. A story that respects its audience and trusts them to feel their way through it. Your contribution helps set the stage for something meaningful, not just to us as filmmakers, but to anyone who believes horror can be both unsettling and deeply moving. And so, yeah. So, again, I don't know who actually reads any of that, but it's all there. It's all there. And, I think, hang on a sec. There we go. Again, I understand that it might not be as exciting, but this is incredibly important. And it's not that, somebody once asked me, if you don't raise the funds or the funds that you need, are you still going to be able to make the movie? And well, the short answer is yes. Well, I guess the short answer would be I don't know, because I don't know if I am going to be able to get anybody interested. But the short answer would be yes. It just might take a bit longer to get there. The development funds and being able to have the proper funds allocated to the legal fees and the concept art and the travel costs and wow, I'm having a brain fart. The concept, trailer or tone piece, and having somebody jump on, like a name actor and everything, developing, the line producer and going through the script and sketch. I mean, everything that goes into development. These funds will only help to expedite that. Will only help to move this along faster. Right? So I raise the funds, I might be able to hire a line producer this fall. I don't raise the funds, I might not be able to hire a line producer until next year or the year after, or, who knows, right? So just keep those things in mind. But yeah. Anyways, I don't think I've missed any super chats, right? Because I know I was going off there talking about the the campaign and people are like, I'm out. No. I haven't missed any. Okay, great. But yeah, so it would be wonderful, folks, to see you pick any perks up. Would be amazing. Oh, hey! Oh, yes! 41%. Oh my God. You guys are awesome. Yes, 41%. Amazing. I'm loving it. 8,237, 41%. Oh my goodness. We're inching closer and closer to the release of this pretty awesome concept, if I do say so myself. Took me a long time to create this. Took me about 2 months, but I was working on it periodically. But so I'm glad this is being received well. If we hit 50% between now and August 15th, that special edition concept poster goes up on the campaign for purchase as signed and not signed. And this is, there we go. Awesome. Amazing. We are continuing to move forward. Folks, if you want original horror this is not that there's anything wrong with, franchise horror. I mean, I love Halloween and Friday, I love it. But we are definitely in an era of reboots and requels and sequels and mequels and chequels and lequels and, whatever you want to say. And legacy sequels. And I realize that I made 2 legacy sequels myself. I realize that. I have nothing against them when they're done right, when they're done with tender love and care. There's not just a cash grab. I'm all for it. But this is an original horror film. I do take familiar elements, right? Like the college-aged characters and the abandoned haunted farmhouse. I mean, it's not like we haven't seen those things before. But I marry them together in something that I think is uniquely different to this particular part of the subgenre. And again, it's something like, I can't say too much without spoiling it, but it's a film that will have the intention, the way I've written the script and how I envision it. And you guys know me. I love horror movies where the environment itself unsettles. So there's just an eerie kind of vibe to the entire picture. So even when there's nothing creepy or scary happening on screen, you still feel like the film still has a eerie feeling to it, like Longlegs, right? Longlegs, even when it's just 2 people talking, there's an eerie vibe to just the picture in general. I love films like that. And so for me, and again, I'd say this in terms of vibe and tone, not story, The House on Port Robinson Road, in terms of that mood and that atmosphere and that tone, is something along the lines of like, The Witch, Longlegs, The Night House, The Others, like in that ilk, like in that realm. And there's others you could throw in there too, like maybe, I don't know, The Black Coat's Daughter, or like something like it's got just there's just an eeriness tone to the piece. And then it marries itself with obviously more cerebral and philosophical emotional beats of something like a Contact or an Arrival. Not the Charlie Sheen Arrival, not The Arrival, but, Arrival. I'm not saying it's like that in terms of scope. I don't have that much money. And it's not going to cost that much to make. But in terms of that emotional sort of core and undertone, the philosophical, more cerebral themes, and you don't really see this marriage in this sort of way. I'm not saying it at all, but it's not common at the very least. And so it's original horror. It's inspired by true events from my second year of college. And something I'll also say too, because it's more than just the don't EVP, folks. I realize I haven't divulged too much about the story. That's just because I don't want to spoil anything. The only thing I've really shared about the original true experience that this film is based on is that don't EVP. And some people I think have thought that, how do you build a whole movie around that? That's not the only thing that happened, folks. That's the only thing I've shared with you. But that's not the only thing that's happened or that we caught. Or that, not caught as in like, Ghostbusters, but, on tape, all that kind of stuff. There's so many more stories that have been used for inspiration for this film. And so please be aware that this is not a movie just all centered around this don't EVP. The don't EVP is part of it. It's in there, but it is much bigger than that. And so just keep that in mind. So this is an original horror film. And it's a psychological, like I would classify it as a psychological, supernatural horror drama, like kind of like the drama part I think is important because it's not jump scare after, it's not, Slender Man. You know what I mean? I'm just, it's elevated, for all intents and purposes. Right. But that's how I've always imagined it as well, because again, I've been writing this for 25 years or for 20 years, basically. It's based on a story from 25 years ago. And I've always imagined it to be that way. Like I didn't just make it elevated because that's the hip thing now. No, like I always imagined it deeper, more psychological, cerebral. I don't mean it's so deep that it turns you off. I don't mean that. I just mean there's a philosophical component to the film is what I'm saying, right? And so I've always imagined it that way. And it's just I don't know, by sheer luck, maybe now. Not that those movies weren't always, I mean, yeah, they were made. But now it seems to be more of a hip kind of trendy thing, which may bode well for me. Because back when I first started writing this, there was no A24, there was no Neon, there was no, more of those movies that cater to more auteurs or, that kind of, and so now that those things exist and they're very successful, it might help the house on Port Robinson Road a bit more, because the house on Port Robinson Road, although like I've said many times, if Blumhouse called me tomorrow, I mean, that's a phone call you take. They are the biggest name in horror. That's a phone call you take. But when I think of the story I've written and I think of sort of how I imagine it, yeah, it's more A24 than it is Blumhouse. I will say that. But it's something I mean, again, I've been working on this for more than half my life. I'm 46 and I began writing this when I was 26 or 25. I mean, it's crazy. And you guys are helping to make this a reality. You guys are helping this dream. I know it's a development funds campaign, but you watch, we hit our goal, or maybe even the first stretch goal. You watch. I mean, you guys follow me on social media. I'm here on this channel. You watch. There's going to be some updates where you're going to be like, okay, all right. And you know that you had a part in that. You helped contribute to that. You are literally helping get this movie into a position where producers and studios or production companies can be like, yeah, we got to get our hands on this. This is really good. You know what I mean? And I don't say that in a pompous way. I say that in a way that, of course, that's every filmmaker's dream, right? That's every filmmaker's dream. I just mean that every filmmaker knows they need to get their pitch package, their lookbook, their pitch deck, their pitch, their script. We need to get this in a position where it's difficult to turn down. It's difficult to turn away. Not everybody's going to like it. Not everybody's going to jam with it. Might be timing, might be, a difference of this, that, whatever the case is, give and take, whatever but we want to go in strong. We want to go in, whoever we meet with, whether it's a production company, a studio, an investor, a producer, co-pro. We're meeting with several different production companies, because with indie films, unless you are picked up by a major studio, indie films tend to be co-pros, and that just means co-productions, right? So it's this production company will put up a bit of money. This production company will put up a bit of money. This production company will put up a bit of money. This production company will put up a bit of money. And when you watch the movie, that's why you see 5 or 6 different production company logos at the beginning of the movie. And so, with independent film, that sometimes can be the case. But whatever the case is, I need to have all my ducks in a row, and we need to be ready. Like I say we, because you're helping me out with this, man. You know what I'm saying? We need to be ready. You know what I mean? And that's what this campaign is for, is beginning that process. It's beginning that process. Austin Cheney says, see y'all later. See you, Austin. Thanks for tuning in, man. I really appreciate it. Aaron Click says, oh yes, who contributed? Thank you, Aaron. Yeah, let me give a shout out to whoever contributed to help us bump this up. You guys are, let me just first see here that it's still at the same. We're at 8,237, still at the same. Okay, that goes to Bobby Hall. What's going on, Bobby Hall? My Halloween brethren, Bobby Hall, picked up the Bloodbath double feature. Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. And then we got Jonathan Clancy. Hey, Jonathan donated $12. Thanks, Jonathan. Really appreciate that, man. Really appreciate that. Jonathan was the one that was like, I don't really care about this, but he donated $12 anyway. Now that's classy. You're not Jonathan Clancy. You're Jonathan Classy. Let's just put it that way. That's a classy move, Jonathan. Very well done. Very well done. Very well done. Thank you, Jonathan. I really appreciate that. Hey, it may not seem like a lot, but hey, it's an extra $12. Every little bit goes a long way. You know what I'm saying? So thank you. Larry King Jr. picked up the Bloodbath double feature. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Amazing, amazing. Yeah, that Bloodbath double feature, folks, again, that should be one, if we, again, there's 115 people in here. If we just have another 10 people that pick that up, we could really move this campaign along if we sell out the Bloodbath double feature, right? And again, for those of you that don't know, that's happening on Halloween night. That's a live stream with me, a private live show with me, limited to 100 people. I think we've got maybe 35 or 36 people now. So there's It's limited to 100 people. Halloween night, Friday, October 31st, 8 p.m. Eastern, watching Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 and Halloween Kills. Now, some of you might be thinking, why these two movies? I get it. Like, maybe you'd be more interested if I was watching like Halloween 4 or something. But the reason I did this is because we always watch the same movies, right? We always watch the same Halloween movies. So I looked up online. I asked Google, I was like, what are the two bloodiest, most violent Halloween films in the franchise? And I figured that Halloween Kills would be on there. And they said Halloween Kills and Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. So that's why I called it the Bloodbath double feature. And that's why it's on there. Because I figured, let's do it. Like, let's have a bloodbath double feature. We'll be eating our Halloween candy. We'll have some fun. And it goes to a good cause. That cause is supporting the Development Fund's campaign for the house on Port Robinson Road. And it's a great price point. It's $36 US. Most of my viewers are from the US, like over 70%. So it's about $36 US, about 25 pounds in the UK. Very affordable. And it would be greatly appreciated. So let's sell this out. Like, we're all Halloween fans here. Halloween night, live show, helping support the campaign and watching the two most bloodiest in the franchise, Halloween night. We should be able to sell that out. I mean, I don't know, but I would like to think that we should be able to sell it out. Josh, hey, Josh McKenna, thanks. Josh sends in $9.99, says, when is it too late to make editing tweaks to a movie? If a movie is being released in theaters this week, like Weapons or Freakier Friday, is it too late for small tweaks? Why would weeks be made? So great question, Josh. So I would imagine that it probably depends on the movie, and it would depend on it would depend on a number of factors, but because most movies are delivered digitally, they're delivered with, a DCP file, or, they're delivered like a hard drive, or they're delivered to like a cloud, kind of service. I might be getting a bit of the details wrong, but hopefully I'm getting the Cole's notes right, the Cliff Notes. It's delivered digitally. So it is very common, especially with credits, with end credits, if there's like a misspelled name or there's a mistake in the credits, it's very easy to fix that, re-render it, and re-upload it to the theaters like 2 days before the movie's even releasing. You can do that because it's a digital file. Most theaters now, if not all of them, are digital projectors. They're just playing a file is what they're playing. And so now, back in the old days when you actually shipped 35 millimeter film around the world, that was different. Often mistakes were mistakes and they just were there. But now, I mean, it is not unprecedented for, it depends on the degree of the mistake, right? If it's entails a lot of visual effects, or, it's going to take like a whole, 3 weeks to redo something or to fix something, that's different. But if it's something like in the credits, or if it's a minor thing, like, oh, I can just quickly get that out of there and tweak that, and it'll take me like an hour. If it's something minor, then they can do that right up to, well, God, dare I say 24 hours before the movie's released. And it does happen. It does happen. So yeah, it's because of the digital files now. Like, nobody wants to make that a habit, and they, probably don't want to do that, of course. But because it's digital, you can tweak. Again, if it's something minor, like somebody's name's got 2 N's instead of 1, they can tweak that right up to the release of the film. Aaron Click says, good idea, Dave, choosing Halloween films other than ones like the OG or Halloween. Yeah, and last Halloween, I did a watch-along open to everybody that's still on my channel, where I watched Halloween, Halloween 2, and Halloween 4, Halloween night. Darren of the Slaughtered Lamb joined me for Halloween 1 and 2. You guys remember that. We watched them. And I'm like, well, I don't want to watch them again. Like, I want to do something different, right? And so hopefully there's enough Halloween fans in the community here that would like to help support the house on Port Robinson Road and want to pick up the perk. And again, even if you can't make it that night, sorry, Dave, it's too early for me. I live on the West Coast. Sorry, Dave, it's too late for me. I live in the UK. But if you still want to support, you can pick it up because you will be emailed the link anyway. So you can watch it the next day, or you can watch it later that night if you're, on the West Coast, right? So don't let the date and the time deter you from contributing if you're serious about doing so. So Really, really appreciate that, guys. Oops. Really appreciate that. I don't know. Do you think we could get to 42% tonight? I mean, 42% would be what? Would be 8,400. 42 would be 8,400. It's tough. It's tough. I don't know. But maybe. I don't know. I mean, maybe. But, you never know. Frank says, come on, Dave. Let's Halloween all the time. Halloween all the time, ladies and gentlemen. Let's do Halloween nonstop. Western Ram says, will the Bloodbath double feature have the theatrical or director's cut version of Rob Zombie's Halloween 2? Whatever it is to rent on Prime. Like I probably the theatrical cut, but maybe the director's cut. I don't know. Whatever is there to rent on Prime or YouTube, whatever's kind of there. So, but even if it's just the theatrical cut, I mean, don't let that be the deciding factor, hopefully, I mean, hopefully, you want to just hang out anyway, and it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to have like a Halloween hat and dressed in Halloween garb, and I'm eating candy, and we're going to be just watching two of the most, it's going to be a lot of fun, and it's a great price point. And what are we right now? We've sold, how many have we sold here on the campaign? We've sold 37. We've sold 37. Again, that's $50 Canadian. So that's, again, only about $36 US. And there's no tax on this either, right? There's no shipping, I should say, because there's no perks that come with it. So you don't have to worry about the shipping cost as well, right? Added to it. So it's just what it is. It's the price of what it is. And so first come, first serve. Join me on Halloween night, Friday, October 31st at 8 p.m. Eastern for a private watch along. Limited to 100 people. It's the Halloween Bloodbath double feature, Halloween Kills and Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. Two of the most brutal series in the entries in the franchise. Don't miss it. First come, first serve, or first come, first slashed, I should say. First come, first slashed. You get a special social media thank you and the Bloodbath double feature. I would love to sell this out. Like, I would think we should be able to sell it out, right? We're all Halloween fans. Now, I know the reason why we're not is because a lot of people just don't want to pay for it. And it's like, okay, I get that. But if you want to do me a solid after all the solids I've done you over the years, yeah, I know. I'm playing that card. I'm playing it. I'm owning it. I'm playing it. Then this is a good way to do that. Is it working? I don't know. Okay. Anyway. Let me see here. Warren Armour says, good night, guys. Thanks for the awesome show. Hey, I put Dr. Giggles backwards. I put the ending at the beginning and the beginning at the middle. It was a nightmare. Oh, that sounds like a nightmare. Let me see here. Daz says there's a 0.01% chance Dave might actually become a fan of Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. Don't want to miss that in real time. Exactly. I mean, like Jim Carrey said in Dumb and Dumber, so you're saying there's a chance. There's a chance. I mean, don't you want to see me converted? To a Rob Zombie Halloween 2 fan? I mean, folks. Come on. We got to be able to do this, right? We got to be able to do it. By the way, I have to reach out to this individual as well that had reached out to me and said that they may be willing to match certain contributions as well. So like if one show we get like $500 in contributions, they may be willing to match that contribution. And I'm just saying, so I have to reach out to this individual, or if this individual sees this, reach out to me. Maybe we can figure out a day or a show to maybe do that as well, so you are prepared for that, and we can discuss what that means or what that looks like. But yeah, no, amazing that there's such support from the community, willing to step up and say, I get what this is. You've explained it. The development funds, I get it. Totally, man. I want to see this happen. I want to see this come to fruition. And one day, and hopefully one day sooner rather than later, you're going to be able to sit back and be like, I helped bring that fucking thing to life. I helped bring that to life. You're going to be like Leonardo DiCaprio in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, when he's on the chair and he's like, hey, fucking hell, man. That's the way you're going to be. You'd be sitting there and going, you know what I mean? Hey, I helped bring that to life. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool. All right, we'll go. What's time here? We'll go another 10 minutes. We'll take this thing to 2 hours and see if we can raise a little more. See if there's anybody out there. I know that the viewers have dropped significantly over the last little bit, but that's okay. That's all right. The hardcores are still here. Are still here. Have I missed any super chats? I don't think I have. Josh McKenna was the last one. Thank you, Josh. I appreciate that. Let me go back over here. Let me just see here. Nope, still sitting at 104 and 8237. All right. We'll see if anybody wants to. Let's see here. I mean, again, if four people picked up the Bloodbath double feature, that would take us to 42%. If 4 people picked up the Bloodbath double feature, that would take us to 42%. That's all it takes. Anybody here? I don't know. Western Ram says, will the Bloodbath double feature... Oh, I already answered that. My apologies. Let me see here. Tabitha Short, thank you. Oh, there's Tabitha. It would probably sell out faster if it were Halloween 5 and 6. I'm not a fan of Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, but purely support it. And you're 100% Tabitha. Listen, with all due respect to my audience, I know my audience, and I know the sociological behavior of the patterns of my audience. And had I made this Halloween 5 and Halloween Resurrection, it probably would have sold out a lot, fast. But I was trying to think of a theme, so it was, the 2 most violent, bloodiest, in the franchise. And I was just trying to think of a theme. But, but unfortunately, it might be a bit of a tough sell. Because, there are people, and I say this with all due respect, I'm not singling out anybody. I'm just speaking in a general sense, right? There are people that donate that see that it wouldn't matter what I was watching. I could be watching Gone with the Wind and they'd be like, yeah, for sure. Here you go. Because they believe in the project. They believe in me. They, want to see it. And then there are people that might be like, are a little more, well, what's in it for me? And it's like, yeah, you're watching 2 Halloween movies, but they're not 2 Halloween movies that I care about. So I'm not going to bother. And that's fair. It's your money. You can do whatever the hell you want with it, right? You get those people. And then you get people in the middle that are kind of like, I'll wait and see. I'll wait and see. There's 40 days left. I'll wait and see. There's 40 days left, but that's 40 days is going to turn to 30 and 20 and it's going to go fast. It's going to go fast. And I would get in on it now. Because the last thing you want to do is wait and then all of a sudden everybody else has and then it sells out. Because once it sells out, it's not coming back. You know what I mean? So it's limited to 100 people. So I'm just saying. Aaron Click says, Dave, do you plan on doing a show discussing the Shelby Oaks trailer that dropped online today? A show? Probably not. No, I did watch the trailer, but I don't think I'd do a whole show on it. But I did watch it. I watched it a couple of times. I thought it was good. I'm looking forward to seeing it. I think what he's done is like the principle of what he's done and his journey and being able to be in that position and to have Mike Flanagan on board. And I mean, he's in a position that we would all love to be in. And he's in that position largely because of his reach, Now, whether the movie's going to be any good or not, I don't know. I'm not saying he's not talented. I'm just saying that, he's in that position largely because he's well known and he was able to raise over $1 million on Kickstarter and that got eyeballs and, he's got a large reach, right? So, and fair enough. I mean, he's worked hard. He built up his channel and he deserves to be there. And so I'm very excited for him. I hope the movie is good. I liked the trailer. I thought there was some genuinely creepy moments in the trailer. And it has me curious. I don't know if it's a movie I'll get to the theaters to see, but it's definitely one I will check out on streaming for sure. And I hope it's good. I hope it's good for Chris. I hope it's good for indie horror. And because if it's terrible and it bombs and it's just a catastrophic dumpster fire, which I don't think it will be. I mean, Mike Flanagan came on board, Neon came on board. They put in some money for some reshoots to obviously help, as Darren from the Slaughtered Lamb would say, zhuzh it up. And so I would imagine whatever, it's still largely the same movie, but they probably helped to, spruce it up a little bit. And maybe that extra helped. And with Mike, yeah, I know him personally. With Mike Flanagan on board, he's putting his name on it. And so, it doesn't have to be amazing. Listen, there are people that are going to say it's dog shit because they are jealous of Chris Stuckman's success. There are people that are going to bring down the trailer, that are going to bring down him, that are going to rip him to shreds because they are jealous, whether they consciously realize it or not. And then there are those that will give it fair critiques, absolutely. And then there are those that will, blindly just praise it because they, fall at the altar of Stuckman, of Chris Stuckman. And then there are, there's a whole gamut, right? There's a whole gamut. But, I hope it's good because it's great for indie horror. It's the same thing I feel about the Terrifier films. The Terrifier films, as you know, are not my cup of tea. I don't hate them. Like, I don't hate them at all. I can watch them and have a good time with them. But they're it's never a genre or a movie that I would ever make. Like, I would never make that. That's not my kind of horror. But I hope and always cheer for its success because it's great for indie horror. Because like Stuckman, although Damien Leone was not a YouTube personality, he came up through the crowdfunding ranks and independent, and now look where he is, right? And so a rising tide in the independent horror scene raises a lot of ships. And, it only bodes well. Although the house on Port Robinson Road is a little more cerebral and not quite as, mainstream, we'll say, it still bodes well for me and this project, right? If indie horror continues to tank and not do, or tanks and not and doesn't do well, coming up through these kind of ranks, then that doesn't bode well. And so I'm cheering for him. I hope it's good, and I hope it's good enough and it makes a little bit of money enough. I hope it makes a lot of money, but it makes enough money that allows him to make his next movie, whether that's a horror movie or whatever he wants to do. It doesn't have to be the greatest horror movie of all time because that's how everybody's going to judge it. It just has to be, hey, you know what? That was actually pretty good. Good job, Chris. Rock on, man. I liked it. That was good. That's all it has to be. And it just has to make a little bit of money. And then, Chris can hopefully do his next film, right? Because it's all about baby steps, right? Movie. And yes, every now and then a filmmaker comes along where their first movie is a gigantic juggernaut, right? Sure. And maybe The House on Port Robinson Road will be a gigantic juggernaut and it makes millions and millions of dollars, or maybe it doesn't. And maybe it's a gigantic bomb and it makes nothing. Or maybe it's where I hope that it kind of is, because it takes a bit of the pressure off, which is it makes some money and most people like it. Right? It's like, yeah, it's got like a, 75 or 80% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's doing well. It's doing well, because then that means, they may let me make another one, and when I say another one, I don't mean another Port Robinson. I mean another movie, right? Because that's where because you bomb right out of the gate, a catastrophic failure. Can I make another movie? You know what I mean? And so anyways, I'm rooting for him. I am. All right. 3 more minutes. Have we gone up at all? Anybody? No, still the same. We went up a little bit. Hang on. What was that? We went up a little bit. Oh, guys, we're only $120 away from 42%. Less than $120 away. Who was that? Let's see here. Was it a donation? Was it a perk? Let's see here. Doesn't matter. Let's see what we got here going on. A shout out goes to Steve Herman. Stephen Herman. What's going on, Stephen? My man. Stephen, ladies and gentlemen. Steve Herman picked up the Bloodbath double feature. I love it. If we just get 2 more people, maybe 3 more. If there were 3 more in the last minute here, that would get us to 42%. But even not, that's okay. That's all right. I love seeing this. Amazing. Thank you, Stephen. I really, really appreciate that. 40 days left in the campaign, folks. If we can get this to 20,000, about 14,500 US, by obviously the end of the campaign in the next 40 days, that helps us put that will put it into in demand. Then I can take the foot off the gas a little bit, with these crowdfunding kind of shows, because then the campaign is in demand, and now it's alive, and we can continue to raise funds after that. But if we don't reach our goal, then that means I have to launch another campaign to make up the difference. And I don't want to do that any more than you guys want me to do it. And so it's important that we hit that 20,000 in the next 10, 20, 30, 40, the next 59% in the next 40 days. But thank you, Stephen. I really, really appreciate that. All right, guys, gotta go. Time to watch you on Netflix. Time to watch me on Netflix? Jeez, I didn't know I was on Netflix. Where are my checks? Let me see here. Fliximetry. Tim says, can you imagine what the H586 party theme would have been like? They're dog shit. That's dog shit. Yeah. Well, and I'll be honest with you. I thought the Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 would be a lot of fun to watch because it's kind of just fun to make fun of, or like, oh, come on, or that should have been better. And there's a lot of people that actually like Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, believe it or not. And so, but we'll see. There's still 40 days left, and 38 people have, so far have picked up the Bloodbath double feature. So we'll see. We'll just slowly but surely, we'll continue on. We'll continue to do it. We'll continue on. And don't forget to check out the November Files perks. Again, there's tiers on this campaign, the November Files. If you're into ghost hunting shows, ghost adventure, like the real story that inspired the film, check out those perks, folks. Some pretty cool shit in there. I'm just saying. All right, folks, listen, that is going to do it for me here on this episode of McRae Live. Oh, we went up again. Hang on a sec. Oh, we are so close. We went up again. We are now less than 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. We're like $73 away from 42%. Oh my God. I was just about to sign off. Who was that, ladies and gentlemen? Oh my God, we're so close. That was Dalton Barron. Dalton, my man, Dalton. Yes, going hard into the paint towards the end there. Dalton is getting ready to join us on the Bloodbath double feature on Halloween night, Friday, October 31st, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 5 p.m. Pacific, 1 a.m. If you're in the UK. But even if you can't watch it because it's too late, you can watch it on Saturday morning. Or you stay up really late and you watch it with us really late. I mean, it's Halloween night. You can watch us then too. Oh, amazing. You guys are awesome. 8337, 41%. Unreal. Unbelievable. You guys are awesome. But thank you guys. I really appreciate it. Maybe if you're thinking about, you can do it after the show. I don't know. But thank you. You guys are amazing. Thank you for joining me here on this episode of McRae Live. Thank you to the super chats that came in. Thank you to everybody who donated to the campaign today. I really, really appreciate it. Let's keep it going. Again, we're down to 40 days. We have 59% to make up. I think we could do it, but we got to keep that momentum going. You know what I mean? It's 3 weeks tomorrow. So if we can hit 50% between now and August 15th, I'm going to put, not that one. Hang on a sec. I'm going to put that poster right there on the campaign, the special edition concept poster. Once we hit 50%, that's going up onto the campaign, a signed version and an unsigned version as well. So again, thank you everybody. I really, really appreciate it. You guys are amazing. Have a great rest of your Monday night. And if you're watching after the fact, jump into the comment section. Let me know your thoughts on anything I had to say here today, of course, but more specifically, the main topic, the TV cut or special edition of the original Halloween. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I would love to know. That's going to do it for me, folks. Have a great rest of your Monday night. I will talk to you soon. Alrighty. Cheers.